Recently, Photoshop released a feature that uses AI to rotate a 2D image as if it were a fully realized 3D object. Everybody in this space, at least the folks that I've watched, has called it a game changer. And there's no doubt, it demos brilliantly, but are you really ever going to use this thing? Because if you don't, the game kind of stays the same.
I'll start by showing you the ropes using a few photographs from the Dreamtime image library, link in the description. So I'll copy this image, switch to a different background and paste. Now you might figure the first step is to click remove background in order to get rid of her background, but that is in no way necessary. That feature, auto masking, is built into this new one. So just go ahead and click on the little transform icon right there and then click rotate object, at which point you'll see a progress bar. After all, Photoshop is communicating with Firefly, so you need a live internet connection in order to calculate how this 2D image might reconcile as a true 3D object. Now, as advertised, the background automatically disappears and she looks like trash. And that's because up here in the options bar, you can see that we have a low resolution preview. Full details are applied when done. All right, I'll go ahead and zoom out a little bit so that we can see these widgets around the transform boundary, including this guy. This is tilt. So if you drag down, you're going to tilt forward, drag up, you'll tilt backward like so. You also have this rotate control down here at the bottom, and you can rotate a full 360 degrees, at which point we're going to start to see details that Photoshop did not see in the original photograph. For example, she's wearing a ponytail, and if I were to rotate things back a little bit, you do not have an undo in this mode, incidentally, so you just have to keep, dragging things around. But it looks like she's on the phone, whereas Photoshop has determined that no phone is present, which is why we're seeing this kind of distended thumb that might reconcile better in a moment, and her ear. In any event, I want her to look kind of like this, I'm thinking. Now, you may prefer to rotate freeform, in which case don't drag inside the boundary. That's just going to move the image. Instead, you press the right mouse button and drag like so. You folks working on the Mac can control drag if you prefer, and that is going to give you a freeform rotation. Now notice that the sweater is fading out toward the bottom, and that's because Photoshop is not sure what to do with details that do not exist in the original photograph. So what I'm going to do is drag this down a little bit. We're still seeing some translucency. That's probably going to reconcile just fine. And now I will scale the image by dragging a corner handle. Note that at the present time, you are scaling proportionately. That is your only option. You can also rotate by dragging slightly outside of the corner handle like so. And then when you get something you like, you can click done, or you can press the enter key. But one caveat, this is something I haven't seen anyone discuss. Every time you apply this feature, even though it's in beta, it costs you 20 premium credits. And if that's the kind of information you appreciate, then won't you take a moment to subscribe and turn on notifications? You'll be glad you did. And notice that she now looks absolutely splendid. If you don't like the effect, you can click edit rotation and then, fine tune things to any degree you like. Edit rotation does not cost additional credits, by the way. All right, I'm going to group these layers together because after all, I spent good credits on them, and I'm going to turn them off. How about working with an actual object such as this camera, which is a fairly preposterous example because we're missing all kinds of information about the body shape. Like the lens, this is a long lens and we're not seeing any sides. So I'll just go ahead and copy it, and then I'll switch back to the background and paste, and I will once again click on this little icon right there and click rotate object, at which point Photoshop is going to begin its calculations. And lo and behold, the background goes away automatically. I'm going to drag this guy over just a little bit, and I'm going to rotate it so that we can see the sides of the lens. So Photoshop is smart enough, and this is no small thing to figure out what the size of this lens look like and how deep this lens should be, which is crazy. Now notice this guy over here. This is perspective. And so if you drag up, you're going to foreshorten the image. That's not what we want. I'll drag down in order to increase the perspective of the object so it looks like it's coming at us. And I might rotate it back toward us just a little bit as well. Now, something to bear in mind when I press the enter key, of course, I'm going to spend another 20 premium credits, by the way. So if you're just experimenting with this feature as I was, you're going to burn through those credits. And I did, by the way, as I was goofing off with this, run out, which is not a pleasant thing to see happen. Now, notice that it's gone ahead and added some hieroglyphics to the side of this lens, which is, entertaining. If that bothers you, you can click edit rotation and try again and see what else it comes up with. But the thing that is not going to get reconciled is the fact that there's some depth of field, a lot of depth of field associated with the actual photograph, and there's none associated with the background. The background's in sharp focus. So you can try harmonize, which is a great feature. In fact, it wins my vote as the best feature introduced so far this year inside Photoshop. However, while it does an admirable job of integrating the camera into the scene, we have the shadow, for example, and we have 3 different variations to choose from. So you got that, but it does nothing about the depth of field. That is just going to remain a problem. All right, so I'll just go ahead and select these guys, group them once again, and turn it off again. Maybe I'm miserly, but I spent perfectly good credits, and let's see what we can do with some classic artwork. This is the Pieta in St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican City by Michelangelo when he was 24, if you want to feel humbled by things. But it is by no means a lurid image, or piece of sculpture, that is. Mary is aptly clad, and even though Jesus is, just hanging on by a thread there with his fabric, he's showing a lot of skin. But I mean, my gosh, it's marble for one thing. Anyway, I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it into this background, and I'll go ahead and run through those same steps, and Photoshop is once again communicating with Firefly, and it's going to give me an error message in orange. I hate these things. And what this is telling you, you can click view guidelines if you want to learn nothing. This isn't a violent image, obviously. So what is it? Well, it's high pornography as far as Photoshop is concerned. So the same rules of prudishness apply as ever. Anyway,
hey, real quick, Rotate Object is just one of Adobe's recent forays into AI. Another is this thing called custom models, which allows you to use your own artwork, whether illustration or photography, to train a made-to-order AI that delivers your personal style in response to any prompt you might give it. In other words, you can turn yourself into a lean, mean artwork delivery machine. Does it work? Would you really want it to? To find out, join me at my Patreon, which is patreon.com/geeknow. And now back to that Tomorrowland technology that goes very simply by the name Rotate Object.
I'll go ahead and cancel that and get rid of that image. It's not going to do us any good. Let's switch to something that's more prudish in the first place. Now, I will say, by the way, this image, this painting from 1930, it looks like this. Actually, this is the way Grant Wood painted it. And this is his dentist. You probably know this story. And this is his sister. But they're supposed to be father and daughter, not husband and wife. But their shoulders are cropped out. And if you have cropped shoulders, Photoshop isn't going to know what to do with those. Which is why, even though this is sacrilege, I went ahead and applied generative expand in order to restore some shoulder details and a bunch of unnecessary house stuff in the background. Now I'll copy this and I will switch to that background once again and paste, and I will click on the little transform icon and I will click rotate object in order to calculate how this 2D painting that was painted on cardboard, I believe. I can't remember the substrate, but it's nothing fancy. Ends up reconciling in 3D space. And so let me show you something so you understand how those shoulders would work. If I tip this backward, notice anything that's outside of the image boundary outside the canvas is going to turn into a flat surface like so. It's going to be 3D, but all of a sudden these things become, play school figures or something along those lines. Anyway, I'll go ahead and tilt this back downward. You also have these controls right here, so I could rotate by clicking on the rotate button and dragging these guys back and forth. It's worth noting that you can see values here inside the properties panel, but at the present time you can't edit the darn things. That's how beta this feature is. You cannot enter numerical values, astounding as that may be. Anyway, I want to render this. I'll just switch back to that painting for a moment. I want to render it. Notice that he's looking directly at us, but she's looking at him. I want her to be looking at us. Now, because I switched images, I'm being asked if I want to accept the rotation or return to the rotation. If this happens to you, return to rotation. You can always edit it, of course, but that way you're not interrupting the process. And I'll go ahead and click rotate once again. Now I do want her to be looking at us, but not with a pitchfork in her face. So I'll go ahead and apply some more rotation. Something like that should work out pretty nicely, but I don't want the bottoms of these people to show. And so I will scale the image once again, like so, to make it bigger. And then I'll go ahead and press the enter key in order to render that image. And sure enough, she is now looking directly at us and he's looking off screen. We're not seeing it this time, but sometimes it'll add little reflections to the glasses. It is actually, for what it's worth, an amazing feature. You can harmonize this, but of course, anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and group these guys together once again. And now I want to show you a different way to work. I'll switch to a different image right here that includes some live editable text. And so you might figure, oh my gosh, what a great use for this feature. You can just rotate the text around and get some extrusion going. We're not seeing any tilt controls down here. And so if you're not seeing what you want in the contextual taskbar, there's always a command. You can go up to the edit menu in our case and choose free transform, at which point you will see rotate object, but it's dimmed because I'm working with live editable text, which is verboten. And so what I need to do is take this text and rasterize it. And there is a layer effect applied. So I need to right click and choose rasterize layer style in order to rasterize everything. I'm including a stroke so it has something to grab onto if it's going to extrude. And now if I click on this little transform icon and click rotate object and wait out the calculation, then I will see this low resolution garbage right here, and I'll go ahead and rotate this, and I could do that right click and drag thing like so in order to rotate it freeform, and I can give it some perspective, not that kind, this kind of perspective should work, and I can scale the text as well, and I could even rotate it a little bit. I'm actually pretty happy with this. And so what I'm going to do is press the enter key or click the done button. I want to emphasize that's the point at which you spend your 20 precious premium credits, is when you actually apply the function, by the way. And in this case, the result is massively disappointing. There is no extrusion, none whatsoever. We do have some weird stuff that doesn't make sense going on with the stroke, but this is the kind of thing you could accomplish just using standard transform. So I'll just go ahead and turn that off. And what we need to do is find some integrated text. And by that, I mean something along these lines. Another classic piece of artwork, this time from 1928 by Charles Demuth. And by the way, it's based on a poem, just in case you're curious, if you like this kind of thing. It was a poem that was written by a friend of this guy's just 7 years earlier. And it's a very short poem as well. So the idea is this is a fire truck that is declining away from us. And what's interesting about this, I love this particular image. This is the inside edge of the large 5. And then we have the inset 5s like so. And though they are numbers, they are integrated into imagery, and Photoshop loves that, this new feature anyway. So I'll go ahead and copy this guy, and I'll switch over to this image right here, which I created in Gemini, gemini.google.com. albeit.com, incidentally, if you're curious. And now I'll go ahead and click on the little transform icon, and I will click on rotate object. And what's interesting about Gemini is that it gives you Nano Banana Pro, of course, but also it's free up to a point. So you can mess around with it to the tune of 2 to 10 or so images, and you'll not get charged a thing unless you decide to upgrade to a pro license. But in any event, I'm going to give it a little bit of perspective like so. I'm also going to scale the image. That Alt or Option drag trick does not work at this point in time where you scale with respect to the center. But notice I'm getting an extruded edge. Is that not cool? I think it's very, very cool. And now I'll press the Enter key in order to render the object and, of course, spend my 20 premium credits. I know, I'm beating a dead horse here, but darn it, it's a beta feature. All right, so that's very cool, I think. It's not perfect. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit, and I'll give this guy a mask, and then I'll switch to the brush tool, and I'll paint some of this stuff away. This is the axle of the fire truck, by the way, but it doesn't really work out here. This stuff is the ladder, so I'll leave it. And then I decided things would reconcile better if I were to add a stroke. And so I'll click on the FX icon and choose stroke, and this is what I came up with for what it's worth. It's a pretty slim stroke, set to overlay, 50% opacity. I'll click OK, and it looks pretty darn good. And if you wanted to, you could go ahead and harmonize the image. Now notice that harmonize is not showing up here in the contextual taskbar, and that's because the mask is selected. If I switch back to the image here in the layers panel, then it appears. Or, by the way, I want you to know that all these commands have command equivalents. I just go to the layer menu and choose harmonize in case you're wondering where this particular feature lives. And again, we have the usual 3 variations right here, of which I believe I like the third one the best.
So what do you think? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Is it really gonna change our game? In which case, just curious, what game were we playing in the first place? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I'm Deke McClelland. This is Deke Now.